I'm still jazzed on that latte,
Me
by
too.
the way. I feel like I want to punch something.
Buzzing, as they say on Love Island.
I'm simply buzzing, mate. Just like lost 2 bars of battery.
Hello?
Like, suddenly. Aliens? Hello, everybody. Happy Friday, and welcome back to the Ride Home Podcast. My name is Abby.
Hey guys, it's Caitlin.
So we are back at our good old trusty Regal Theater tonight.
Get Regal Unlimited, guys. Just do it. We're
Just-
still not
yeah.
sponsored.
But maybe one day.
Maybe one day.
Dream big.
We're currently swindling them out of every free
Out
popcorn.
of house and home.
Literally, we haven't paid for a popcorn in months.
We really have.
literal
and
months.
we'll continue to not pay
And we'll
for
continue to
popcorn.
not pay for popcorn.
Thank you.
Thank you, Regal. We love you, Regal.
Listen, they
Hugs
are
and
doing so
kisses.
poorly that they couldn't clean a single toilet
That's true.
in that cinema.
It's our fault because we're eating
We're
too much free
swindling
popcorn.
them.
Oh my god. So tonight we went to go see Bullet Train, which is a action thriller movie that stars Brad Pitt and is
Mhm.
directed by David, I don't know if I'm saying his name right, Leitch, who did John Wick and
Mhm.
Deadpool 2 and A Fast
Atomic
and Furious. Yeah.
Yeah, it looked like maybe a Fast and
So
Furious
he's
special.
an action man.
He's an action guy.
Yeah. So obviously, first thing is first. Caitlin,
Mm-hmm.
what are your thoughts coming out of the theater?
Okay, 3 things. 3 key thoughts
Okay.
coming out of this film. Number 1, the soundtrack was so dope.
It was a lot of fun.
Number 2, the cast was amazing.
Correct. Yes.
Number 3, I think everyone knows that since Elvis came out, I was obsessed with Austin Butler.
Mm-hmm.
Have been obsessed with Austin Butler ever since that movie.
You've been just
Pining
completely
over him.
Pining. Yeah.
Well, folks, I've got a new man.
There's a new man in town, baby.
There's a new man I'm pining over.
Yeah.
And his name is Aaron Taylor Johnson.
And he had a little mustache.
He had a little mustache, which for some reason I love a little mustache.
impressive.
He had some gold chains. He had some tattoos. He had like a little slicked back do.
Mm-hmm.
So I still love Austin Butler, but man, Aaron Taylor Johnson can get it.
I was just about to say, though, how impressive for Aaron that he was in a movie with Brad Pitt and you are thirsting after him and not Brad.
I know. Listen, Brad Pitt's always going to be
What a king.
always going to be a king. He's
a
aging
king.
like fine freaking wine.
Yes, he is. Also, we have the same haircut.
Brad Pitt and Abby have the same exact haircut, same length, same color, same style, same part.
Same texture, even.
See?
Like,
Yeah,
our hair
like it
flips out at
lays
the end.
the
Yeah.
same. So I love Brad Pitt, but my heart is just beating hard for Aaron Taylor
Yeah.
Johnson.
I wonder, I don't actually know if he's really British or
Listen,
not.
I don't know, but I did have a crush on him at one point in my life.
Yeah, you did?
And I forgot about him. I've been sleeping on this.
Where did he pop up in your previous life?
Perhaps it was some sort of a period piece.
Period piece.
Let me consult with IMDb a minute. Yes, Anna Karenina.
Oh.
Why I watched that? Because it wasn't like a blockbuster film by
no.
any stretch of the
This
imagination.
isn't a Pride and Prejudice. This isn't
No.
a Jane Austen.
No.
This is Anna Karenina.
But I do remember him being in that and thinking he was hot then. But he's aged well also.
yeah.
Because that movie is about 10 years old.
I will agree with you that he looked pretty
Man, he looked fine.
fine in this movie.
So those are my my main thought about the movie is that Aaron Taylor Johnson is hot.
Your main thought is that you're just sweating and now Austin
I'm
Butler can go
thirsting
fuck
for
himself.
Aaron Taylor Johnson, and I don't like Austin Butler anymore.
Can you call Austin and let him down easy? Maybe you should do it in person.
Maybe I probably should. We should invite him over for like a nice dinner.
That might go south.
Ugh.
You might just fall in love again.
Probably so. Anyways, I do have other thoughts about the film. But those are my key.
I also have thoughts. I will do my thoughts in 3 pieces as well,
Oh,
and then we can
okay.
expand upon it.
Okay, a trifold.
Number 1, Brad Pitt is one of the most underrated comedic actors of our time.
Yes.
He is hysterical.
He's so funny.
Number 2, I think this movie, from what I've seen in reviews, is very underrated.
Yeah.
And is getting some oddly bad reviews.
Yes.
Number 3, with that being said, they absolutely needed to hire a different editor.
Okay.
So we'll go into
I'm
the
excited to unpack that piece.
We can unpack that, but for the most part, I just want to give like as broad of a synopsis as I can because it was a highly complicated movie.
It was quite a complicated plot.
And I want to say that the most complicated thing about it was that like you go into an action movie thinking that it's going to be really fast dialogue mixed primarily with action sequences. And this movie was a ton of dialogue with like peppered in action, basically. And so it's very complex. There's a huge cast. And so it's going to be really difficult to summarize it. But we're just going to say that Brad Pitt's character is a hired heist man, I guess you would say. So he is hired to replace a man who called out sick. And his mission is...
Which is so hysterical.
Right?
Just that piece alone is so hysterical to me.
So his mission is just to find a briefcase that is on a train and to
Take it.
steal it and take it. And we get a little hint at the beginning that he's kind of sick of this lifestyle and he has turned a new leaf and he doesn't want any violence.
Right.
And so he leaves the gun in the locker that he's supposed to pick up and he's just like, you know what? I'm just going to get this briefcase and we're going to call it a day and it'll be an easy job. It's not an easy job.
Not an easy job.
Because there are 5 other people who want the briefcase and for wildly different reasons.
Yes.
And also have really fun names.
Yeah.
Because they all have code names. So we have the Wolf. We have Ladybug, who is Brad Pitt, which, by the way, is the best thing ever. That his code name is Ladybug.
Yes.
We have Lemon and Tangerine. We have the Elder. We have the Father.
The Prince.
The Prince.
Which is actually a
teenage girl. Yeah. We have the White Assassin?
White Death.
White Death.
Yeah.
White Death.
White Death.
But what a great cast.
An incredible cast. It was like, I can't imagine anyone else being in that movie.
Right.
Like, everyone who was in that movie was supposed to be in that movie.
Right.
It was like one of the best selected casts I've seen.
I will say, I won't say who plays White Death because I think it was supposed to be a surprise because he's not listed on IMDb. But I was betting $1,000 it was going to be Mickey Rourke. And when it wasn't Mickey Rourke, I was like, no. So that I will say Mickey Rourke is the only person that I think should have been in this movie.
Yeah, okay. I could see that.
I was like 1,000% sure.
There were some also like very funny reveals of other like cast members who were not big. Like they were
Little
not
cameos.
main. Yeah, they were not main characters at all. But it was just like, oh my God, he's here. Oh my God, what the hell? Like that. They were really funny. There was some really. That was something else that I really appreciated about this movie is the comedy.
Yeah.
And the comedic timing was really good and paced really well.
Yeah.
And the deliveries of it were amazing.
Were so good. I personally thought going into the movie that it was going to be more on the side of action.
Me too.
The trailers are insane.
Right.
Which is like what brought us into the theater. And so at the beginning, when it was so dialogue heavy, for a split second I hated it. Because I was like, this is not the movie I paid for.
Sure.
Actually, Regal paid for it. Love you, Regal.
Right.
You know, I felt like I was a little bit conned.
Sure.
And as the movie continued, I thought, you know what, like, just let it go. Like, this isn't the genre that you thought it was going to be, and that's fine. Just enjoy it for what it is. And I 100% enjoyed the rest of the movie.
I was actually very confused at the beginning of the movie, and I almost checked like our Regal app to see if we were in the wrong movie. Because just like the way it started, I was like, also there were no trailers tonight. Did you notice that?
Wait a second.
So like the whole beginning part
you thought
of
maybe
us
it was a
being in the
trailer.
movie theater was very confusing and disorienting for me because it was
You were
like
scared.
we always get there in time to see the trailers.
Yeah. I don't know why I didn't notice that.
And I thought it was weird, and then the movie kind of started and the movie was like not what I expected it to be.
And there
I
were
was like,
two grown men watching like Minion videos behind
Yeah,
us, like
and
on
I was-
full volume. Who also compared Bullet Train to Uncharted at the end of the movie. They were like, "Hey man, what did you think was better, Uncharted or Bullet Train?" I was like, "Man,
not
fucking
even the
guys.
same thing." So anyways, the beginning, I will agree with you, was a little bit disorienting
Right.
because it was like, wait, where's Brad Pitt?
Right,
Like, what's
right.
happening?
And
then
he
it was
showed
like,
up in his little
yeah,
bucket
and then
hat.
he showed up in his
everything was
bucket hat,
okay.
and I do love him in a bucket hat and glasses. Like,
yeah,
but yeah, I would agree with you. And it was kind of like, wait, is this like the same movie? Like, it was a
Right.
little bit weird
right.
of a start, but like you said, once it got going, it connected it, and I didn't feel like that, 30 minutes into the movie. I was
No.
like, oh, I see where they're going with this. But once you kind of sit back and just take it for what it was,
Yes.
I am very shocked at how low the tomato meter is.
I think it should be much higher.
I would give it like in the 80s.
Yeah.
Honestly.
You're revealing your cards a little bit early there. You're rating it early in the pod.
I mean, I'm excited about this movie.
No, I know.
I really liked it.
So I agree. I thought that I agree with you that you need to suspend any belief that you are seeing anything realistic. So, for example,
Sure.
in the very first 10 minutes of the movie, two characters are sitting on this train and they're actively talking to another character about how many people they have killed.
Mm-hmm.
And there are 25 people in the car around them.
Yeah.
And no one else is speaking.
Right.
And they're screaming this. They're like, "No, mate, it's 17 fucking kills, mate."
Yeah.
So you need to just
You have to suspend
you
reality.
have to yeah, and they're getting into full-blown fist fights and nobody ever catches them. There's nobody who's like,
You know what's funny? I never really even paid attention to that.
right?
Like, I'm one of the people on the train who's
Yeah,
not paying
who's
attention
just, like
to
letting
them.
it go, except for the Karen. There is a Karen.
Yeah,
on
there
the
was
train.
a Karen. But I feel like that was kind of part of the charm of this movie.
Yeah.
Like the fact that there was no one else interacting with them. Like it was like playing out, like the action pieces especially
Right.
played out like there was nobody else there.
Yeah.
And it was just the cast of characters, fighting over this
Right.
briefcase or whatever.
Speaking of the cast, Bad Bunny showed up.
Yeah, what an interesting choice.
I'd be interested to see more from him, actually. I
Yeah,
didn't mind. I mean, he
wasn't-
was nice to look at
He
on
was
screen, too.
definitely nice to look at.
Good-looking cast in general.
Yeah. Is David gay?
I don't know.
Because he picked a lot of handsome hunky men. Or maybe
David
he's
was feeling
appealing.
sultry.
Maybe he's just appealing to the women.
I don't know. Those are
Audiences.
some guy crush kind of guys, too.
True.
Where they're like, "Oh, man, if I could be anybody." But no, you really want to
yeah.
bang Brad Pitt. It's okay, man.
we all do.
Let it go.
It's okay.
We're all a little bi.
This is a safe space for you to love Brad Pitt
We're just more bi than everybody else.
than most.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So we get to enjoy all movies.
Every movie is for us.
Yeah, I thought the cast was just spectacular across the board. I have no complaints there. They all had amazing performances. And even though the plot got a little bit complex, I thought it was really easy to follow
Yes.
because a lot of other action movies, they do lean so heavily into the spectacle and the action that the dialogue is so short that they make a call and they're like, "Johnson, yeah, the package, okay," and you're like, "What the fuck is the package?" You know
That's what I was
mean?
gonna say. A lot of action movies try to make things almost too cryptic.
Yes.
So it's like, tonight we're gonna unlock the safe in the precinct of the da da da, and it's
Right.
like all these made up things that you're like, wait, what are they saying?
Right.
And it didn't do that at all. This
No.
was very spelled out.
Yeah.
Which was probably why I loved it so much.
Right.
Because usually when we watch an action movie or anything to do with
You need the
politics, I
subtitles.
have to have subtitles. In this movie, I did not need subtitles at
it,
all. I
yeah.
followed it because they really they told the story kind of to the audience.
Yeah.
But it was like they were telling it to the people in the movie.
Right.
Like to, you know, the other characters. But like we got to hear the story too, which was kind of cool.
Yeah. I think going back to my 3 things, my biggest complaint about the movie is unfortunately the editing and also a little bit the VFX.
Okay.
Specifically the end scene, which I won't talk about,
Yeah.
looked very off for some reason, like almost like they like pieced it together last minute.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, I wasn't like sitting there thinking like, oh my god, like this sucks, that's like the you know, I wasn't like so obsessed with the editing not being great. But I think like if maybe the editor of like Elvis was on this movie, or the editor of like a graphic novel style movie like Sin City or something like that, because at the beginning it tried to be like that with the name cards that would come in for their code names, and I was like, oh cool, this is going to be like graphic novel style, it's going to be, and it just never got there. The dialogue scenes, although the cast was able to carry them so well, and they still worked because they were A, funny, B, interesting, and C, well acted, I think the issue for me was every piece of dialogue was just a chest up bust shot.
Yeah.
And just 2 shots, like just the one person and then the other person.
Yeah, you know, I did notice that. And I noticed it at the beginning because it was almost as if they were breaking the 4th wall, which is interesting. And I was like, wait, we're just going to only do this the whole time? Like, we're not going to have like
my thing
a side
is
of
like,
both of them?
I understand you're shooting in like
confined spaces.
Obviously, it's not a real train, and I'm sure they had a set, but you know, they were trying to make it feel tight and like you are in a confined space, and I understand that, but you still can like do some close-ups, you can have some over the shoulder, you can have some low angles, you can have like a big wide shot of the train and like make it. And I thought that the other aspect of the editing that struggled was the transitions between scenes felt really stale. And if they had just snazzed it up a little bit, honestly, this would have been, and I'm gonna say this, my favorite movie this year.
Whoa.
But it's not, because they really failed miserably at the connective pieces. And it was more like, I love this movie for its potential, but I can't say that it was
your
amazing.
Favorite movie.
Yeah.
And I do kind of have to agree with you on that, which sucks because you're right. If that had happened,
so much
like
potential.
Each individual piece was so good.
Yeah.
That like if they had just been connected together more cohesively and more interestingly, I think it really it would have been up there for me as well.
For sure. I still think that it's highly underrated based on the reviews that we saw.
Underrated.
But it could have been so much better.
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely think, like you said, the potential of this movie
astronomical,
is insane, and it's such a cool idea. I saw in the credits that it was based on a book.
Oh, okay.
Which kind of makes sense because I feel like there's other movies out there that are kind of like, you know, crazy shit goes down on a train. I know there's Strangers on a Train, which I'm pretty sure is Hitchcock. Don't quote me. Don't come for me on that. And then there's like Murder on the Orient Express.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? So it's like not like a new concept, which that's okay because this was such a complex story that like it felt like a new concept almost.
Yeah. And I don't know. I just think that as long as you don't go into it thinking that you're going to see anything realistic, which one of like the biggest things I've seen recently against The Gray Man, which we both very much enjoyed, was like, oh, it's so unrealistic and it's so like, they're just like, it's too funny and blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, there is a genre currently, which is action comedy.
Yeah.
And I don't know why people are like, I need to see Die Hard every time I go to a movie, you know, or like, I need.
Why can't there be humor?
Right.
Here's the thing, everyone. The people of America.
Oh,
please listen.
President Muchler is speaking.
Yeah, President Muchler. I'm going to just get on my soapbox for a second. The past few years have been so shitty that like why can't we just have this? Why can't we just have movies that are fun and imaginative and creative and explore and meld different genres together that we're not used to seeing together? Like, it's really not that serious, guys. Like, it's okay to not take things so seriously all the time.
Right.
I've always loved action movies ever since I was like,
which is hilarious because anyone who knows you would be like, wait,
would never
Caitlin
guess that about me.
action
I
movies.
love action movies, and I'm gonna do a shout out to my best friend Bernadette. I know she listens. Me and her have always gone to the movies together and seen action movies. She's part of the reason why I love action movies.
Yeah.
And I am so happy that we have taken a little bit of a turn into this niche of action comedy.
A cat. A black cat.
Where?
Next to us.
Where? I don't
Walking
see
in the
it.
parking lot.
I don't see it.
A baby.
A tiny baby? Where? Oh, I see it now. Oh.
Hi, handsome. Love you, baby.
Has a little fluffy tail.
He looks healthy.
Okay.
Anyways,
I'm very excited about action and comedy being together because I'm a person who loves to laugh and I love to joke around. And I am also a person who can tend to take things very seriously.
Right.
So for me to sit here and say it's not that serious.
Right.
Is kind of a big deal because I really do appreciate action movies for what they are. But an action movie with the comedy, especially like dry humor, like we saw in The Gray Man and like we saw tonight in Bullet Train, like that's just my shit. Like I just love that.
It's great. And I think, you know, obviously like comedy and action have gone together like peanut butter and jelly since the comic book era.
Sure.
But I think in the 90s and the 2000s we leaned so heavily into like Jack Ryan and Jason Bourne and even darker superhero movies like the Christopher Nolan Batman, that it's like hard for people to like come out of that a little bit. And I feel like now that we're going into this like escapism, over dramatic, far-fetched, like a plot that would never happen, characters that would never exist.
Right.
But like
that's the fun.
That's the fun. And I had so much fun tonight.
I had a blast.
Some movies are movies and some movies are films.
Yeah, of course.
And when you see a film, there's obviously going to be a lot to analyze there. You can be a little more critical than normal. You can kind of analyze it almost like a piece of art.
Sure. Yeah.
This is a movie,
This is
man.
just a straight up movie.
This is just fun and it's for entertainment. It's to escape your life and go sit in a dark theater, eat some amazing popcorn.
Oh my
by
God, the best popcorn we've ever had.
Ever. I really suggest seeing this movie. You don't have to run to a theater. I think it's a perfectly watchable movie at home. It's not something
just turn
that's
it up
crazy
real
visual.
loud.
Yeah. But I'm going to give it a large. Even with the editing issues, it's like a large popcorn in the sense of, I know we're running our tournament bracket right now of teen girl movies where like, you know, my favorite is on the list, Freaky Friday. Sure, it's not a perfect movie.
No.
And sure, it's cheesy and it's weird and all of that, but it's still a large popcorn for me.
Right.
And so I think that's what this movie is for me, is it's just like the experience of it was just, it made me so happy that I can't, like...
You can't not give it a large.
Yeah.
It's a large for me as well.
And
no doubt about it.
Yeah. And again, like if I was just going off of my head and like if I was reviewing it, I would agree with you what you were saying before. It's like it's something in the 80s. It's not outstanding.
Right.
And it should technically be a medium. But my heart, my reaction is leaning towards a large popcorn. And I do think that this is going to be a movie that you and I throw on every once in a while, just when we need
like on a Sunday
time.
Afternoon for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a Sunday afternoon kind of movie. It's definitely a large popcorn for me. It's not a perfect movie. We're not going to sit here and say that, but
we're not going to nominate it for any Oscars.
No,
not one.
Not honestly a single one, except Oscar for the hottest person
Oscar
this year in a movie was
Zaddy
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Take a deep breath.
He gets the Oscar for me.
So all that being said, definitely check it out when you get the chance. If action is your thing, if comedy is your thing, and if it's not, it's not. That's
okay.
fine. If your method of escape is rom-com or whatever it is. One of my favorite genres, period, and actually my favorite genre, period, is horror. And I'm super excited because we're going to do our first streaming episode. We will not be at the theater next week. We are going to stream the new Peacock horror movie, They Them, which is a gay conversion camp slasher movie, which what?
Crazy.
I already know that I'm going to be biased about this because it's
niche.
It's niche for
niche
me.
for you.
So I'm very excited to see that next week, but I hope you guys enjoy your weekend and do something fun.
Thanks for joining us on the ride home.